Hi everyone, Amy here. Welcome back to my channel, Paper Therapy. So everyone seems to really like hearing about my process of cropping photos. So I thought I would show you on these photos how I come to the idea of, or the plans of how I'm going to crop them. I choose first of all, I usually lay them out, kind of all the portraits together and all the landscapes, and think about how much cropping I actually want to do. And with this layout, this is a lot of photos, but actually this is just one strip, 1/6-inch strip, which leaves me 2 inches, sorry, 3 inches on top and 3 inches on bottom, or 2 and 4 or whatever of 12 by 12 paper. And sometimes I will put the 12 by 12 sheets underneath just to see how much space they're going to take, but we know this is 12 and this is 12 right here, right? So likely what I would do is take my favorites, which would be this one and possibly this one or this one, I'm not sure. And I would put a matting around them and then pop them back in the row so that they're displayed more. So that's kind of how I decide. I pick my favorites and I usually mat my favorite. As it turned out, I didn't end up cropping my photos nearly as much as I thought I would in the beginning, but that's the process I use, whether I crop them a little bit or a lot. I've brought in some mink background cardstock. I like to start on mink in a layout like this because the rock and the sand, mink is kind of like a little bit of a warmer gray, and I really like that. I've chosen my color palette, so I'm going to go with this. I think it's Twilight or something similar to that. It's like a tealy blue. I tried really hard to make one of our current paper packs work, but nope. I need some of that teal color to bring out this. And the only one I had for that was Celebrating You. And Celebrating You has yellow, and I didn't really want yellow. So anyways, here's one color, and then I've brought in, this is, obviously you can see this is Photo Play. It's a little bit of plaid that I have left that works really well with the different colors I'm finding. No wonder it's the Canada paper. So it's kind of funny that the Canada paper matches. Should be called the mountain paper. I actually end up bringing in another paper in that green color that is patterned. It's from the Fresh Air paper pack, which is of course retired, but I use it instead of that multicolored watercolor paper. Now I want you to take a good look at this because I'm going to use some photo editing magic or video editing magic and show you what it looks like when I showcase these two photos with some mats. It makes such a difference. And also I'm planning to cut this photo down just a little because this mountainous background that you see here is also in this photo and in this photo from a different angle. So it's okay to cut a little bit off to give it some trim. That's also going to show off the photo a little bit better if it's cut down just a little. And I'll cut some of my hair and this off of here as well. Ta-da! Anyways, so now you see when you showcase these two photos how much you can make them pop. And when I trimmed off some edging here, how much better these ones look. And it's just, you know what I took off those photos is this much. A 1/4 inch. So it's not much sometimes. These ones are definitely going to get some mats too. The title obviously area is going to be over here, or I might, you know, add some whimsy by just popping this on an angle or something like that. So it kind of becomes part of the title. Here is the making of the title, which ends up moving to the bottom, as you will soon see. But I actually made a lot of changes to this layout from my original plan in my mind. This is the Peacock feather, I think, and it's a little bit too bright for the layout I found. It wouldn't have been the end of the world if I would have left it on, but I decided to darken it up a little bit with some close to my heart inks. I think I just kind of went over it with a little bit of gray to just gray it up a little bit so it wasn't quite so bright. Next, I added in the chipped sapphire for the mountains in the foreground. And then in the very foreground, I used, I think, chipped paint for the green trees. I found that, or the reason that I'm using Distress Oxides is because they layer up a lot nicer when you're trying to do darker colors. They're more pigmented, so they're not water-based, so you can layer them and you'll find that the green will show up on top of the dark blue, which wouldn't work with our acrylic inks. So for the Explore word, there is actually a fourth layer. I'm not sure exactly how you're supposed to use it. It is just trees. Maybe it's for another layer of trees in the very foreground, or maybe you can put it slightly underneath. But I just used it to create a border on each side of the word explore. And I actually made a separate one to go across the other side of the page, because I like, when I'm doing a double page layout, I like to have the components kind of run from one to the other to make it feel cohesive. So here's my second strip of white paper, and I'm adding the border of evergreen trees, at least that's what they look like to me, across the whole paper. So here I'll bring in the whole completed border, and momentarily you will see it in place on the layout. So now I've added some pattern papers, and I have chosen to put with a bunch of, I edited it out, but with a bunch of arranging and rearranging, I have decided to put the matted photos, the ones I wanted to showcase, on the ends rather than in the middle. It worked better for adding in the family photos, which I decided to do on top and bottom because it was just getting a little bottom heavy. And I decided to put this photo on a different page because I do have another layout to do from this same day where we did a different hike, and they were kind of in the same location. So this photo would work in either one. So I'm not going to be using that one. And I'm going to add in these two with the beautiful views. Oh, here's this one. So I'm not sure. I think I want to do them kind of like whimsical at an angle like that. Part of the reason is because I think it bookends it a little bit, so it just kind of gives you a story. And then and I feel like there's actually too many pictures of me because I have these two yet, but I didn't want to take this one off because I was actually kind of terrified on this picture. I had made it this far up the mountain. This was in a very steep part. You can see it over here. My husband and my son made it right up to the top here, but in here somewhere, I just lost my nerve. My feet were slipping on the shale, and I said, I can't. So I was crouching here going, how am I going to get down? I was a little bit nervous, having a little break. So this one here, I want to stick underneath here. I can cover a little bit of my feet up. And like I said, I'm all right with, I can't really go any higher than that because I don't want to show this. I want it to look like I've added a frame in behind, like this is a continuous piece of paper, but of course it isn't. So I've rooted out all of my stamp sets that have a thin cut and an evergreen tree because that is what I want to use to embellish this layout. So these are the evergreen trees that I'm going to be using. Just placing everything down, but I haven't glued down any of the slanted photos because I'm just not sure yet if I like them that way. I'm going to use these and these that kind of go with evergreens, not the birds. This was a stamp of the month. You've seen me use it before if you watch my channel much. I wanted to bring in a little bit more of the tealy blue color, and I also wanted to bring some white up to the top. So I'm going to make a bit of a mountain border to add in on the top of the layout. So I've stamped out these different embellishments on different shades of paper. They're stamped in black on the colored paper. These ones are actually inked up with the Ranger Distress Oxide, and then I've stamped on them in black and on top, and it's kind of made a faded, because these are Distress Oxides, and the black I used was just our water-based ink. So it makes it kind of give you like a faded look in the background, but these are ones I'm going to use in the background anyway, so I'm fine with that. And I believe I'm going to cut one of these in half to tuck under here to kind of transition, because I want to do a row of trees to transition from one page to the next. And then these guys, because they don't have much definition to them, they're kind of going to be the back. Well, I'm sad to say that somehow my video stopped recording, so I have no more video of me arranging my embellishments, but shortly you will see them finished. I also have the Harbor shimmer brush here for some decorative splatters. And I did notice that when it dries, it's more shimmery than dark, which is kind of nice. It's very subtle. I found that I had to be more violent than I thought too. I really had to smack it fairly hard to get the sparkles to kind of, the splatters to kind of land or be any kind of size. And I chose to like go over the title and some of my embellishments a little because it is so subtle. It looks just fine when it dries right on the journaling and stuff. You can still read the journaling, no problem. I added the strip journaling off camera as well. Just telling a little story of what the pictures are showing. And obviously I lost the video of the me putting in the trees and me putting in the sprigs on the bottom. So sorry about that. I wonder if a phone call came in or something and my phone was on silent and it just stopped recording. But it was really weird because all of a sudden that video just ended. So I'm bringing in some sequins. These are the sticky back sequins from years back, but we do have sequins now that you can just buy loose, and then you can just use a little bit of glue to glue them down, or a glue dot. And I like an eclectic look, especially on a layout like this. So I'm using sequins and gems and different sorts of little embellishments. And I also had found 2 little evergreen trees, and I thought, well, I may as well use them up with my evergreen theme going on here. So I've just popped them on the page. If you're wondering what kind of noises are going on in the background, I'm not sure if you can hear them, but it's a very windy day here. So you can kind of hear my railing on my deck kind of making, I've got a privacy screen thing, and it's kind of making a lot of noise, blowing and creaking back and forth. So this is the finished layout, and I hope you enjoyed watching it come together. I met a few surprises along the way. It wasn't like the original plan in my head, but I am pretty happy with how it turned out. I really like those little trees, and they're just gorgeous pictures. You can hardly go wrong with taking pictures in such a gorgeous background, as you've probably heard on my channel before. Well, I want to thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I enjoy the comments so much. I appreciate everyone who subscribes and hits like. I'm just really enjoying how my YouTube channel is growing, and I just appreciate you all so much. Bye.